When I was a kid, I read a special edition of the Doraemon comic, the one with the Doraemon Army spin-off. It was about a boy who dreamed of becoming a footballer, but he wasn't exactly good at it. So Doraemon Dorarino and Nobita brought in two special coaches using the time cloth to rewind their ages to match the little boys so they could train them. And in the end, it's revealed that those two mystery coaches were none other than South American football legends Zico and Diego Maradona. A few days ago, I saw some of you in the comments asking for a video on Zico, and that instantly brought back memories of that Doraemon comic. Luckily, my memory's not too bad, so I decided why not. Let's make a video about the man nicknamed the White Pelé. Why did they give him such a legendary nickname? Let's dive into it together in this football retro video. If you enjoy the video, hit like, share it, and subscribe to help more people discover football retro. And if there's a topic or player you want us to cover next, don't hesitate. Drop a comment below. Part A. Humble roots in the rise at Flamengo. In Rio de Janeiro, there's a dusty working-class neighborhood called Quintino, poor and tough, but also the birthplace of one of the greatest artists the beautiful game has ever seen, Arthur Antunes Coimbra. The world would come to know him simply as Zico. Born in 1953 to a Portuguese working-class family, Zico grew up surrounded by football fever in the streets of Rio. But unlike the image most people have of Brazilian wonder kids, fast, strong, unstoppable, Zico was small, fragile, and even told by doctors he should consider playing chess instead of football. In a country where physical strength was seen as essential to success, that warning felt like a death sentence to his dream. But Zico didn't give up. He started a strict training program under physical coach José Roberto Francalacci, the man Zico would later call the first architect of his career. Strength training, strict diets, military-level discipline, Zico stuck to it all for years. Thanks to that iron will, Zico's body slowly transformed, not bulky, but agile, resilient, and full of hidden power. Zico joined Flamengo's youth setup at 14, beginning a journey with the club where he'd spend the best years of his career. Back then, Flamengo had the biggest fan base in Brazil, but wasn't yet considered a true powerhouse. Zico quickly stood out two-footed wise beyond his years with the ball and driven by an unshakable passion for the game. The name Zico came from a sweet family evolutions. It started as Arthur Zinho Little. Arthur became Arthur Zico, then to Zico, and finally just Zico. A humble nickname from a Rio alley, which one day would become a symbol of Brazilian football itself. In 1971, Zico made his official debut for Flamengo's first team. But it wasn't until 1974 that he truly exploded, scoring a hat trick against Botafogo and earning his first Player of the Year title in Brazil's top league. From that point on, Zico became the heart and soul of the red and black. Hard to do. The peak at Flamengo, the man who built a dynasty. From a club that had never won the National League, Flamengo rose to dominate Brazil and South America from the late 1970s into the early 80s. And at the heart of that legendary run was Zico. From 1978 to 1983, Zico led Flamengo into their golden era. The team won 3 national titles in 1980, 1982, and 1983, plus 5 Rio State Championships. During this stretch, Zico was everything. Playmaker, top scorer, and spiritual leader. He won Brazil's Golden Boot twice and consistently ranked among the top assist makers each season. But the absolute peak, the moment that launched Zico's name into the world spotlight, came in 1981. On their way to conquering South America, Flamengo faced fierce opponents, including Chilean side Cobreloa, known for their brutally aggressive style. In the first leg of the final, in Rio, Zico scored twice to secure a 2-1 win. In the second leg, Flamengo lost 0-1 in a match full of rough tackles, forcing a decisive playoff on neutral ground. In that final playoff in Montevideo, Zico opened the scoring and was again the game's difference maker. Flamengo won 2-0, claiming their first ever Copa Libertadores, South America's most prestigious club title. Zico finished the tournament as its best player and top scorer. Less than a month later, Flamengo represented South America in the Intercontinental Cup, facing Liverpool, Europe's powerhouse, featuring Kenny Dalglish, Graham Souness, Phil Thompson, and more. British media were convinced Flamengo would be eaten alive. But Zico didn't care about the predictions. When a reporter asked if he thought Liverpool were the clear favorites, Zico gave a short reply. Yes, favorites, for the silver medal. And on the pitch in Tokyo, Zico made that quote a reality. Just 12 minutes in, Zico threaded a perfect through ball to Nunes for the opener. In the 34th minute, a dangerous free kick from Zico fell kindly to Adilio, who made it 2 in a row. Before halftime, Zico delivered a stunning outside-of-the-foot assist, slicing through Liverpool's defense to set up Nunes again. Final score, Flamengo 3, Liverpool 0. After the match, Liverpool's legendary manager Bob Paisley could only say, "They made us look like amateurs." In 20 minutes, the game was over. Zico didn't score, but he created all 3 goals. He was named man of the match, and Flamengo were crowned World Club champions for the first and only time in their history. Part 3. European Adventure, a lonely artist in Serie A. After leading Flamengo to the top of world football and winning nearly every major title in South America, Zico decided it was time for a new chapter. European football. Given his status, most expected him to join a European giant, Real Madrid, Juventus, maybe AC Milan. But then came the shock. Zico signed for Udinese, a mid-table Serie A side recently promoted, and far from elite. The move sent shockwaves through the global media. Italian newspapers called it madness, saying, "They've put a Ferrari engine inside a Fiat chassis." The Italian Football Federation even launched a financial investigation, doubting that a club like Udinese could afford the transfer fee and wages of South America's biggest star. The situation escalated so much that the people of Udine took to the streets waving banners that read, "Zico or Independence," a tongue-in-cheek nod to the region's Austro-Hungarian past. Under public pressure and political push, the deal was eventually approved. Zico arrived in Italy under a cloud of doubt and silenced it all with the ball at his feet. In the 1983-84 season, already 30 years old, Zico scored 19 goals in Serie A, the league's second highest tally, just behind Juventus's Michel Platini. Keep in mind, Serie A back then was the world's toughest defensive league where defenders played like warriors. And Zico didn't have a star-studded supporting cast like Platini did at Juve. Under Zico, Udinese went from minnows to giant killers. He tormented defenses from AC Milan, Inter Roma, and Lazio with dribbles, outside foot passes, and free kicks that curved like they were drawn with a compass. On the road, even rival fans stood to applaud him, something nearly unheard of in Italian football at the time. But as fate often did in Zico's story, tragedy struck in the second half of the season. A knee injury sidelined him for weeks, and Udinese's form dipped as they lost their spark. Still, they finished ninth, an impressive result, all things considered. In 1984-85, Zico returned, but tensions rose with the club board after Udinese broke their promise to strengthen the squad. Frustrated by the lack of ambition and aware that age was catching up, Zico made the decision to return to Flamengo, where he truly belonged. Zico spent just 24 months in Italy with only one full season. The impact he left was unforgettable. And for perspective, in his first season at Napoli, even Maradona scored just 5 goals more and led Napoli to 8th place, one spot above Zico's Udinese. Part 4. Comeback and a global legacy. After 2 years in Europe, Zico returned to Flamengo in late 1985, welcomed like a king coming home. Over 100,000 fans packed the Maracanã just to witness their king walk back into his kingdom. But before the fairy tale could continue, Zico faced one of the darkest chapters of his career. In what seemed like a harmless friendly against Bangu, Zico was viciously tackled from behind by an unknown defender, Marcio Nunes. The result? A shattered knee, 3 surgeries, almost 2 years away from the game, and the real fear he might never return to the top. At 33, most thought he should call it quits, but Zico refused. Not out of stubbornness, but because he wanted to end his career on his feet, not in a hospital bed. He committed to an insane recovery regime 8 hours a day just to reclaim each stride, each shot, each touch. In 1987, Zico returned, no longer in his physical prime, but with the wisdom and heart of a true legend. Flamengo now had a new wave of stars, Bebeto, Leonardo, Renato Gaucho, and it was Zico who kept the spirit alive, orchestrating everything from midfield. That season, Flamengo won their 4th Brazilian championship, Zico's final title in the red and black jersey. He wasn't the top scorer anymore, but he still made the big plays when it mattered most. In a year when political conflict split Brazilian football in two, Zico was the glue keeping fans connected to the game's core values. In 1991, at 38 years old, Zico left Flamengo and shocked everyone by heading to Japan. Back then, Japan didn't even have a professional football league. He joined Sumitomo Metal Industries, a second-division club, and the early version of Kashima Antlers. They played in front of a few hundred people. Football was still just a side act, but within weeks the stadiums were full. Games were broadcast nationwide. Kids came holding banners that said Zico-san, and for the first time, Japan truly felt what elite football was like. Even at his age, Zico scored 21 goals in 22 matches, helped the team earn promotion, and played a key role in laying the foundation for Japan's professional league, the J. League launched in 1993. Zico became a national sports icon. The Japanese called him O-Rei-do Happon, the king of football in the land of the rising sun. He was immortalized with a statue honored as an honorary citizen of Kashima, and to this day, his name carries deep respect in every chapter of Japan's football history. Part V, the national team, a never-ending tragedy. At Flamengo, Zico was a king. In Japan, a legend. In Europe, an artist who made Serie A bow its head. But in Brazil's iconic yellow and green Zico became a monument, full of cracks. Zico's international debut wasn't marked by a goal, but by rejection. In 1971, he was a key player for Brazil's U-23 Olympic squad. But just before the final list was announced, he was cut. Not because of ability, but because a relative of his had ties to groups opposing Brazil's military dictatorship. In a country ruled by fear, Zico, though innocent, was seen as untrustworthy by the regime. For nearly 4 years, he was left out of every national team call-up. When he finally returned in 1976, he brought not just passion, but the pain of being denied the chance to represent his country. Zico made his World Cup debut in 1978 in Argentina as a strategic sub. In the opener against Sweden, Zico rose and headed in a winner deep in stoppage time. But referee Clive Thomas blew the final whistle while the ball was still in midair. One of the most controversial decisions in World Cup history. Brazil finished third, but the sting of injustice remained. If 1978 was a robbery, then 1982 was tragedy. It was the tournament where the whole world tipped Brazil to win it all. A legendary squad, Socrates Falcão Jr. Eder, and pulling all the strings was Zico. Brazil started on fire. Zico scored 4, assisted many more, and hit the tournament's most stunning bicycle kick. Then came Italy. Paolo Rossi hit a hat-trick. Zico's shirt was torn inside the box, no call. Brazil went out. Some Brazilians blamed Zico, said he was the star who couldn't carry the team. That was the first time Zico realized. You can be brilliant for 99 minutes, but still be cursed for failing in the final one. In 1986, fresh off injury, Zico came on versus France in the quarters and missed a crucial penalty. He later scored in the shootout, but all anyone remembered was that first miss. Zico left the national team with 71 caps, 48 goals, 22 assists, but it was all overshadowed by one missed kick. Zico once said, "I never won a World Cup, but I had the goals, the matches, and the tears more real than any trophy." He didn't fail, he just proved a painful truth. In a world obsessed with winning, art is not always forgiven. Zico didn't need a throne. His legacy doesn't sit in a trophy case. It lives in the memory of anyone who saw him touch the ball even once. Zico wasn't the white Pelé, he was Zico, and the football world only ever needed one. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, share it and subscribe so more people can discover football retro. Until next time, see you in the next story.